Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.
But I should probably start by introducing our guest.
What?
Since the people listening and not watching can hear that there's somebody else in the room with us.
All right,
not
that's
in the room with us.
Probably a good idea.
Yes, today we welcome.
And today only.
An exclusive, a Biofriendly Podcast exclusive. We are welcoming a cookbook author. He has developed recipes for Whole Foods Market, Costco, has been featured on Today, People Magazine, and many more things than that. He has a popular YouTube channel and a food blog, and his name, ladies and gentlemen, is Jerry James Stone. Welcome to the Biofriendly Podcast.
Jerry!
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we're thrilled to have you on the show because we've worked with you on the interwebs, but we've yet to, kind of have this face-to-face introduction.
Yeah, well, you of course know.
I mean,
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, that's sort of, I think, like modern life, right? It's like I've worked remotely for since 2008, and you sometimes don't always see people that you work with now.
Totally.
It's just how it goes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. But so we had Jerry James Stone write this month's Biofriendly DIY, which was about cooking for the holidays, which was awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to start right out of the gate and say, if you haven't checked that out, you have to go check that out.
You got to go to biofriendlyplanet.com and check that one out. That's a killer, and it's a great start to your holiday season.
Yeah.
So that you can know how to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And the thing with that piece too that I really wanted to convey, because as you know, the world is horrible right now, and everything is just people are trying to figure it out day by day. And I really discovered kind of through this, all the food storage stuff that I had on my YouTube channel and on my website has just been a lifesaver for people. I've had them, reach out to me and just write me like really long, thankful emails about how now I know how to store celery, so I can actually not have to buy it every week, or, it lasts longer, that sort of thing. And, empowering people to be better at food is important in any sort of situation, but especially right now.
Yeah,
totally. Well, and I thought it was so interesting and hilarious to think that if you put the wrong two foods together, that like your potato will sprout, right? Like when I read that, I was like, what?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so there's all this produce that's like climacteric, which kind of puts off this, how it kind of reacts to different things, and ethylene gas is that issue, so some things respond to ethylene gas. All produce kind of puts it off, and bananas and apples, for example, put off a ton. So you can use a banana or an apple to quickly ripen a peach or an avocado, because peaches and avocados respond really well to ethylene gas. And so in some cases it's good, but in some cases it's bad, because you don't want potatoes responding and maturing faster than you're gonna before you eat them, because then you get sprouts.
Right.
It's
so
fascinating. It really is. And I
know, right?
I geeked out when I checked out your stuff. His, he has these amazing YouTube videos that kind of are really quick and to the point of what that specific, vegetable or produce item is. And I was researching something on, composting and whatnot. And I was going through, and I got so addicted just clicking down each one, learning more about climacteric and non-climacteric. And even the thing about now it seemed like it was a debatable one, but the idea of the tomato and being stored upside down, I thought it was amazing. But I know you were saying on it, some people are agree and don't, but you can do that. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I test all those things myself a bit, and obviously, I live in Sacramento, California. Mm-hmm. We live in a pretty temperate zone, and so therefore sometimes I can't efficiently test everything if you live in Alaska.
Sure.
And so, or if you live somewhere where it's really humid, or those sorts of things. So I try to test everything for me, and for a lot of times it works, but there are occasions where it does not.
Right.
It works yar, but not thar.
Yeah.
Right.
We run into the same problem too. We're in California, so we're on the same coast, the same time zone, but we have the same problem. Just recently, we had this article about, it's Thanksgiving and we want you to be safe, and it was here's an idea on how you can eat outdoors. And
terrific article.
Terrific article.
Tara found. By the way, we got to give Tara a shout out. Tara is how we are lucky enough to have you. You and Tara our old friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've worked together for years.
That's awesome. Yeah. So no, but she finds this great author who puts this article out.
And then the reaction, it goes out there just like, try this. And then there's all these people on the East Coast in the frozen, tundra that are like,
I'm not going to have an outdoor Thanksgiving.
I can't have Thanksgiving outdoors with my family. And we were like, I know this was kind of an idea for us, West Coasters and people in these warmies. Yeah, exactly.
It is a challenge when you're kind of talking about those things because you can't.
Exactly.
I mean, I've discovered this even just with food. And it's actually kind of one of the reasons I launched this cookbook for kids because, I've been doing this for about 8 years and you just can't account for all the nuances that every person's going to need in a cooking video or a recipe. I try to be as thorough as possible, but, you get people who are like, don't even know that like there's butter that's salted or unsalted, or like stuff like that. And so you have to really, I try to like break it down as little as I can for people. But like, a lot of times it's like, I can't write a novel for a recipe, right? So you have to just, be like, hopefully you can figure it out.
I mean, at some point that's it, right?
It is it.
But
right?
also, like one of the classic not fights but jokes that I have with my wife is she always wants to mess with the recipe before she even tried it once, right? So she'll get the recipe, put it together, and be like, yeah, but I feel like it needs more of this, or I think I want to throw more of that, like to cut. And I was like, look, can we try it the way that the chef, wrote it the first time?
Just try the original plan here.
But it's true because people get really excited, right? They get these recipes like, oh, I want to play with this, want to experiment,
100%. And I totally understand your point, but I'm a lot like your wife. I totally screw with the recipe before I even make it.
But you're a chef. So it's in your nature to tinker around in the kitchen. For me, I'm not a chef. So I am like, Noel, I would look at the recipe and be like, we're doing what the person who knows what they're doing has laid out for me.
I'm like, this is chemistry. I don't want to screw up the experiment.
There's this really great, I think it's called Whites. I think that's the TV show. It's a UK show about a chef, like a restaurant run at a castle or whatever. And it has this great scene, which I always think about when I get questions about how to do a recipe or how to execute a recipe. And basically the waitress comes into the back of the kitchen and she like asks for an eggless omelet. And the chef's like, you can't have an eggless omelet. And she's like, oh, are we out? And, she just doesn't get that, like, that's literally the foundation of an omelet is eggs, And so, it's just, I think, like, I get those questions all the time where people ask, can I do this to it? And it's like, well, sure, you can do whatever you want, but I can't promise you that it's going to work out.
Right. You can make whatever adjustments you need. It won't be the thing that you are looking for, but hey, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be a happy accident, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, or like the point that Jacob made, like if you have some experience, I suppose, and you kind of understand the art and the science, that you probably are free to experiment and do some things and make some stuff happen.
Yeah. So
and I think every person, you probably including your wife too, like everyone has their personal flavor profile, right? So like for me, it's like if I'm making something spicy and they're like, oh, just put like a couple jalapenos. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to triple that because I like it hot. Like, so there's just certain things where I know that I'm going to definitely take it to the next level. But yeah, I think recipes are made to be experimented with. Also, that's the thing. Make it your own and make it so you want to cook it. That's what really counts.
Yeah.
This is going to be held against me for the rest of my life. My wife will listen to this podcast and see what Jerry said?
I know.
I'm right. You're wrong. I get to play.
Well, you know what? Just the time for the holidays for her to be, to win these battles. It just sets up things nicely.
That's okay. I'll cook it when it's my turn to cook. When it's my night, I'll do it by the recipe. When it's her night, it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what you should do is cook your version, have her cook her version, then have a battle.
There you go.
Battle!
A cook-off.
We'll have a cook-off.
You need to do a cook-off for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, I have to do this one tangent just because it's pertinent to what we're talking about. My son, when he was younger, we were watching those baking, cooking shows, but like Chef Junior, right? And he was pretty young at the time. I think he was maybe 7 or 8, and we really got into it. And he wanted to start cooking, but he had no idea how it would work. So he just went in the kitchen and started like pulling out just things that you can't put together. Like this is going to be a disaster, like soy sauce, buttermilk pancakes, like just started pulling. He's like, we could just add it all together. We're like, wait. So those shows are inspiring, but at the same time, especially for the master chefs when they're little kids, it's like what I had to explain to them was I was like, these kids that you're seeing that are your same age, they started doing this when they were 4,
right,
and have spent 4 years figuring out how to play in the kitchen.
It's the family trait.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so you guys are both probably going to hate me, but your families might actually like me. So I would say in that case too, like I've actually used soy sauce in desserts. I make a soy sauce caramel that's tastes like a salted caramel, but it just has this rich depth. So you could make a soy sauce caramel to go with pancakes, just to throw that out there.
Oh my gosh, I don't hate you at all. I'm learning a lot right now.
I kind of love you.
Yes, maybe? I do too. Because I actually
did that recipe.
You did?
Yeah. Oh, go on. Sorry.
I
did
ahead.
that. Well, I did the soy sauce caramel for. I had done the soy sauce caramel recipe actually. My Tumblr profile was featured on the Master Chef TV show. They had a few of us do recipes, and they sent us a box to do stuff with. And I got soy sauce, and I was like, how can I make it into a dessert? And so I made it into a salted caramel. So it actually came from that.
That's awesome.
That is terrific.
No, I would eat it in a heartbeat because if there's one rule I have, it's I love to eat.
Yeah, no, that's a good.
I mean, I'm just an eater. So people can do whatever they want in the kitchen. You put it on a plate in front of me, and I'm like, great.
You'll give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot. Yeah. I am not picky at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think while we've got you, it is a sustainability show. It's a show about the environment and everything else. And then there's a topic where Jacob and I often we give the vegan community a hard time while also giving them a shout out and saying, well done.
Yes, well done.
But
Good job.
we do sometimes joke about some ends of the community being too hard on the people who are like I can't do that and I'll never do that. So what I thought is because you're highly renowned in the vegan chef community, I was wondering if you could give a sort of a pitch that any old person could listen to about what the positives are, why it would be a great idea to go vegan, and then also some of the options to eat.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I always tell people, if you want to explore an alternative diet, like either vegetarianism or veganism, not to beat yourself up too much about it. Really, the first thing is don't go gung-ho. Don't cut out everything, because, you're probably going to miss the things that you love.
Right.
And even just small changes can have a huge impact. So with veganism, the thing that you're really looking at is there's a couple different angles to it, right? So people get involved in veganism for a few different reasons. It could be animal cruelty. Our industrial ag is just horrible, the way that it treats animals, the way it treats our soil, the way it treats energy usage and all those things. So that can be one part of it. Some people get into it because they just might have an allergy. They might have a dairy allergy or something like that they just can't consume products with those things in there. And then there's some people, I think that it's just really a religion for them. It really it transcends being a dietary restriction into something that they're so ingrained with that they can't see past, being reasonable about it. And I think that's probably what you're kind of talking about, right?
Yeah,
the people are just crazy about it. And I tell people, I try to make my recipes, I'm vegetarian, I'm not vegan, but I try to make my recipes so if you are vegan, you can usually omit something to just still execute the recipe. They don't all fall into that category, but the thing that I think is really important is to, these choices can have a huge impact. We use it takes a lot of water and energy and food to grow a burger. Right. It takes significantly less water and energy and food to grow something that's just as filling, that's plant-based. And so there's advantages to that when you kind of look at here, especially here in California, where we face droughts and, fires and other things that affect our economy and our ecosystem. So there's just things that you can do that can really benefit the planet, and you don't have to eat vegan all the time. You could just, there's, I think it's Mark Bittman, he did the, vegan before 6 or after 6. I'm totally messing it up, but there was something where it's he ate vegan a good chunk of the day, and then he would have one meal or something where it's not, and that can have a huge impact when you're looking at 21 meals a week, and if you're eating 14 of those that are really good for the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
That is a good way of looking at it, because it's sort of like an easier way in, or like, look, here's a way you can make a difference and you can help out, while still at times enjoying the things that you used to enjoy.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love it.
I can give you my vegan test though, because I have a test for like.
Let's hear it.
I know I'm gonna get just slammed for this, but I have a test that I ask people when I find out if they're vegan, if we can be friends.
Okay.
Because like I support everyone's dietary restrictions, whatever you want to do, but like, there's the people that are aggro about it and they don't respect other people's decisions. And so I always ask people, well, okay, so if I brought you a rescue chicken and gave you the rescue chicken because you care about animals and animal cruelty, what would you do with the eggs? Because all chickens lay eggs, right?
Right.
And so their response is usually like, how I can tell if we can be friends. If they're like, oh, I might eat the eggs because it's, my own chicken that I'm treating, or I just might give the eggs to like people that, would eat the eggs. I don't want to eat them because I'm vegan. But if it comes down to like, the sort of issues with how chickens have been treated over like the years, and like they just, they go into this big argument over like, no, I can't even, it's just like when it gets
they
messy,
can't even.
Like, okay, yeah, we're never gonna
see eye to eye.
If you can't even approach the question,
that's a great test. Yes, it's such in the spirit of this show.
Chicken.
Yeah, that's great.
That is a great lesson for our audience. Honestly, it is, because that's a really good way to put it. Because there it is, right? I mean, there it is. They are going to lay eggs. Not all those eggs are going to be fertilized and turned into chickens. It's just that is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it comes in it tests. I think the thing that's great about it is like it talks to food waste, right? So if you're just like, oh, I'm going to let the eggs rot in the yard, well then like. That also questions where you stand with veganism, because like it's sustainable and that's not sustainable. That's a food waste issue, and so it's just, I think it kind of, I use that as a litmus test for who I can be friends with when it comes to the vegan thing.
That's great.
Well, the thing that we love about vegetarianism and veganism in general is if you do increase that, you do focus on that more, it makes the other farming sustainable, because now you can have chickens that live in a healthy way, in a good way. And now you can have it's no longer a situation where we need so many chickens that there's no way to do it. We need so many cows that there's no way to do it. So now it gets to the point where it's like, okay, well, we don't need that many, which means that they can live a pretty great life.
Yeah.
Well, and there's really lovely integrated ways to use chickens too. Like, a lot of sustainable vineyards will actually, like, I think it's, I want to say Halter Ranch in San Luis Obispo, but there's probably other ones that have it too. They had like a solar powered chicken coop they would put out in the vineyard, and like it would open up, when the sun rises, chickens would go out and eat all the bugs and peck at the plants and eat all the stuff that's not going to be wine. And then at nighttime, they would just go back in, and then they would also like capture their eggs, and so, they can sort of have that ecosystem that's balanced with chickens.
You know what
I mean,
you know what you call
awesome.
You know what you call chicken wine? You call it $2 cluck. Sorry.
Jacob will be here all week.
I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I can't resist a good pun. Can't resist it.
That's a good one.
Amazing.
Well, when you got into, so what started your journey into cooking and preparing foods and becoming a food blogger, and what was the inspiration that got you in this path?
Well, so I grew up in a family that loved to cook. So we all kind of cooked just in general. And I became a vegetarian in high school. And my mom was like, I support whatever you do, but I'm not making 2 meals. So like, and we didn't eat a lot. We didn't eat a lot of meat. I mean, my family's Armenian, and like for the most part, we have a very vegetable focused cuisine. But she sometimes there was things that were just meat. And so she was like, if you want something else, you're just going to have to make it. Like both my parents worked when I was growing up. And so, I became a vegetarian in high school. And then like when I was at Discovery Channel, I was a blogger there. At the end of my run there, like they had asked me what I wanted to do. And so I started a sustainable wine blog with them. And we had hired a vegan chef to do some recipes. And then eventually that kind of tapered off. And so I decided to take over doing recipes because I love to cook. And I was like, well, let me just experiment. I've never been a food blogger, but like maybe I can do a few. And I did a few, and the photos were horrible. And but they did really well. They did really well. And and the reason that I kind of decided to explore it even further with a YouTube channel was because I saw a lot of food blogs kind of emerging at this point. This was back in like 2012.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of like really good vegetarian food blogs or vegan food blogs. A lot of the stuff that had beautiful photos and really good recipes were just not on those sites. And so I wanted to show that you could have delicious vegetarian food that's colorful and beautiful, because it's literally, that's where all the color comes from in what we eat is produce, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of the blogs were just kind of boring, and like it was like granola and brown and like just not very appetizing. I'm like, you're not going to convince anyone to eat this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Yeah, and all
and
that's
basically what.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, as I say, that's the power of like the marketing industry, right? How they'll always you get the hamburger and then they'll squirt on just enough water to make that bead on the lettuce and on the tomato.
And it's all fake.
And then light it so that red pops, and then you're like, ooh, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Like, why can't just get rid of the ugly brown part? Now you've got the rest of the beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing too. Like, I don't always call out that my recipes are vegetarian and vegan too. Like, I'll have people who will follow me for years before they put it together. They're like, wait, I've never seen any meat on your blog, you know? And it's like, and the reason I do that is because people have that stigma. They have that stigma with vegan food. They have that stigma with vegetarian food. And I just want to get more people eating plant-based because it's good for their bodies. It's good for the planet.
Right.
And so I don't try to get too preachy about it. I just try to say like, hey, here's something delicious. And I don't do any of the food styling tricks. Everything I take a photograph of is like what it looks like. So
awesome.
I avoid
That's
all
cool.
that stuff just to like keep it real, you know. But it's really just about I really, wanted to connect to people through food. I mean, food is community to me.
Yeah.
That's, you fit our podcast so perfectly. I can hardly believe it.
I know, like the idea that I love the fact that it's not overt, that you could follow and be like, oh, wait a second, I've been looking at these for years and I have no idea that, and that's what we're trying to do too.
Our entire thing is to trick people into environmentalism.
That's what we're doing. Because we joke around on this show a ton and we're very silly. And we were like, that's something that's missing from a lot of the green community is just laughing and fun. It's often so like, wah, wah, wah.
Right. And to not make people feel bad about the fact that they're not doing it, right? I mean, it's not realistic for everybody to become an environmentalist or to become a vegetarian or a vegan. It's not everyone can do it, right? So what can you do?
Yeah.
And that's what's great about what you're talking about. It's like, well, so what? Here's a tasty meal. Just do this meal. You don't have to do this all the time. But try this one.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, most people don't turn away food that's good.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's a really easy way to convert them. Right? Yeah, exactly. You know, and so, and I think that, we all have a relationship to food, and that could be a healthy relationship or an unhealthy one, but whatever that relationship is, like, there's certain triggers within that relationship, right? Like some you say Brussels sprouts and people are like, peace out, no way, or something like that. And so, like, I think creating things like that are sort of in different formats and come at it different ways. Like I have a stuffed Brussels sprout recipe that's like stuffed mushrooms, and I have people who contact me year after year, like, just be like, oh my God, I hated Brussels sprouts, but these are amazing. Or I was able to trick someone into eating Brussels sprouts through this, and like, and so I think that, it feels a little evil, but evil for good.
Exactly.
I love it.
Is it evil if the end result is good? I love it. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a litlittle bit about Spooniverse Comics. That's what I'm really excited for you to share with us. This project looks incredible. Tell us about
you.
It does. It's a comic book kind of geared towards kids about, eating right.
Right. Yeah. And like I mentioned, I've been in this for about 8 years, and, just like you guys, you sort of learn what your community struggles with, right? Like, you learn where those pain points are, you learn what they're trying to figure out, what they're trying to solve. And I really believe that, like, my whole purpose in life is to, like, educate people on these topics. And so kind of like thinking about that more, I was like, how can I get to them earlier?
Yeah.
I'm seeing adults who grew up in families that just ordered takeout, not know how to cook, not know how to chop an onion, not know how to, like, peel a cucumber, those sorts of things. Or that you maybe, should peel a cucumber or whatever, and so I really wanted to, like, reach people at a younger age. And at first I was going to do just an illustrated cookbook that I thought would be kind of fun and visual and that kids might look at. But then, I'm a huge comic book person.
Nice.
So I thought, like, you know what? I really want something that kids will just pick up on a regular basis. I want it to be, if it's on the coffee table, they just want to look at the art. They just want to flip through it because it's pretty and get exposed to these ideas around food. And so I actually had purchased the name Spooniverse like years and years before this even like came about. I just came up with the idea. I liked it and I like bought the domain just to hold it.
Smart.
And it's like you just never know what something's going to be shared.
Right? That's it.
And so basically what the goal with it is really just to like have this really food driven story. It's based in the future. It's actually, you're probably gonna laugh, but it's a lot of what's going on right now is actually the story for my book. And I've been working on it for 3 years. Wow. So in the story, there's this virus that wipes out a whole bunch of things.
What?
And food security is no longer there.
Wow.
And we have this planet, we have like nations that are just gone, right? Because there's not as much food. The whole planet is, for the most part, eating vegan. There's no way to even grow a cow, right. And so, and the food supply, that food supply chain is like affected in everything. And it's just when I started seeing this pandemic roll out, I just was like, I had people that had read this story that I sent them the pitch to, and they were like, "This is a little scary." Accurate.
Did you predict this? Yeah.
I know, and so I kind of went back and did some rewrites on the first book before we printed it, just to make it a little bit more considerate towards people who might have been, affected by COVID. Because originally it was like, okay, I'm going to have this kind of doom and gloom. Yeah. There's going to be this food story. Let's do this, and then it was like, well, I maybe need to dial that back a little bit. Yeah. But the goal is really to expose kids to the things that affect the food industry. This is like farmers. That's climate change, farming, water supply, energy, immigrant rights, those sorts of things, organic versus, non-organic, the supply chain, all of those things that affect our food. I want to tell through the comic book in kind of like a fun, light-handed way. So kind of like the way Star Wars is about Nazis, but not really like saying it,
Right,
like,
totally.
That sort of, and so same sort of thing. It's just really like, they can pick it up and read it and get exposed to these issues that the food industry is facing, and then also get some fun food hacks and, recipes and other things along the way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That was a really long answer.
No, it's awesome.
Well, we wanted the audience to get the pitch, so they would go get it. So how can you get your hands on the Spooniverse universe?
Yeah.
I love it.
If you go to Spooniverse Comics, you can purchase the first issue, which is out now.
Yeah.
And you can also purchase it both in digital and in print. And you can also purchase the first season. So every season, quote unquote, is going to be 3 books. And so you can buy the whole first season for a discounted price. And then, you just go visit the website, follow us on Spooniverse Comics for our social channels. And hopefully the next issue will be out next March or April.
And is it Spooniversecomics.com or Spooniverse.com?
Spooniversecomics.com.
Spooniversecomics.com. Go out and check this out, folks.
Definitely.
Because we've got a winner here with Jerry Jamestone. That's
I know. I'm excited to check it out.
So great. Yeah. Well, all right. Go ahead. No, please.
I should say, it really, and the thing is too, it's not just for kids. Like I actually have some adults that have purchased it that like it just as much because I tried to write the story. This is my first time writing a comic book, so hopefully it's good. But I tried to write that story kind of in that sort of Toy Story vein where like if you're an adult, you get some things that maybe kids reading it won't get.
That's awesome.
And, so it really is sort of has that kind of all ages little aspect to it. But the whole goal really is just to get people interested in food in a fun sort of galactic way.
That's terrific.
That's awesome. I love comic books. I grew up on comic books, so I'm definitely going to get a copy. And I've got 2 boys, so I'm going to show them the comic and get into their heads, start teaching them a little bit about the food systems in a cool, fun way. Trick them into chefs. I love it.
That's
making you tasty things to bring you to eat.
Yes, I mean that's the plan.
That's the only reason he wants to do it.
Dad doesn't want to cook. I want to make sure the kids do it.
Daddy wants to eat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
So but before we go, because we are running a little bit out of time, but while we've got you, so if there were one recipe that you had right now that you think we should go see, pitch us on that for the holidays. Is there a good holiday recipe that we can find on one of your YouTube pages or on your website that?
It's a total crowd pleaser.
Okay.
Yes.
It's absolutely easy to make. Even you can do it, Jacob.
Okay.
Nice.
It's super easy. It's an appetizer. It's a white cheddar and cranberry cheese dip.
Ooh.
And it's pretty much just mix and bake. And it's like, I mean, I literally, like, it's this recipe that is now, I get every holiday season, people contact me and they're like, we've been making this for the past like 7 years and it's just so amazing. It's like a holiday staple, you know, and I think it's just the one thing that if you make that recipe, you will continue to make it.
I love it.
Cranberry white cheddar dip.
I love it. While you were describing it, this is the ASMR portion of the podcast where we're just like, yes. Please go on. Please continue. So nice. Well, actually, and also cheddar, cranberry, delicious holiday food. Before we go, actually, did you guys ever meet back in the day? That was something I was curious about.
I asked Tara about this all because I know when she first mentioned you many years ago. Tara and I have been working together for
a long time,
like since 2008, right? So I used to be in the old days. Do you remember when there were power diggers
on Dig?
Remember Dig? Yes. Yeah. I was one of those guys. So I used to.
Me too.
You were right. I thought that was where it was.
There you go. The paths have crossed before.
So we probably liked each other's posts and helped each other promote things back in the old days. Because I was like, Jerry James Stone.
Yes,
it's like, I know Jerry James Stone. I know I do. Yeah, I was Mosty or Mosty. That was the tag.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It's all coming back.
I'm sure we've come across. Yes, I know. I still have like T-shirts and sweatshirts that Dig gave us and stuff like that. And like,
totally.
Oh, Dig. I was excited when it kind of came back, and then bummed when it came back to be what it was.
Right, right. I know it was a funny thing when it changed and disappeared, and it was like moving on to new things. It was both sad and wonderful. It was like a release. Like, okay, find new ways.
Find new ways. I love it. Well, I wasn't on Dig, but I was on MySpace, and you guys would be.
MySpace was a winner.
You guys would be in my top 6. Okay, or I can't remember what his top 6, top 8.
I even used Friendster.
I did too. I was on Friendster too, and there was this one called Orchid. Did you guys ever get the invite to Orchid?
Oh, yeah. That was a Google one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I was on Friendster first. Yeah.
I believe Orchid was also something of a bad word in another country.
Oh, and that's why it didn't last.
But I don't think Google had Googled that word too much.
They didn't Google.
They hadn't figured out Google Translate yet.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's what started the Translate division.
They're like, we can't do this again.
That's great.
And I think it's something related to whales, I'll be honest, too. I can't remember exactly. I do remember it being like a bit of a controversy.
Oh, good.
That's hilarious.
I love a good controversy. Yeah. Well, this has been great. And if you want to, we're going to link on your episode, we're going to link all the stuff that you're working on, Spooniversecomics.com. And pretty much if you look up Jerry James Stone, that is yours. You know, there's no other Jerry James Stone out there. It's like, it's on YouTube, it's the blogs, it's, you know, if you want to find anything.
You've got one of those great names where you really want to say all of your names.
All of your name. Yeah. Do your friends call you Jerry James?
Well, no one calls me Jerry James, but they will call me Jerry James Stone. I do get that quite a lot. It's kind of funny, too, because when I go to shows, like food shows, or back in the day, just when I was in the environmental space more, people will just say, hey, Jerry James Stone, even though they'll refer to someone standing, they're like, hey, Mike, hey, Jerry James Stone. It's like they can't not say my full name.
Totally.
People often joke that it's like a great actor name or porn name, and I'm just like, whatever.
Either way,
as long as you remember it.
As long as you remember it. Yeah, even when I was writing him the email, I started like, hey, Jerry, and I was like, I have to write the full thing. I was like, Jerry James Stone.
Hi, Jerry James Stone.
I just felt like that's what I had to do, so...
Does anyone call you Jerry Stone and leave out the James?
That would be awkward.
Not really. Yeah. Not really. The only nicknames I ever got. So in college, I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo.
My brother went there.
Radio show there. Oh, really? Oh, cool. Awesome. It's a great
and my
great
sister
school,
actually.
Great campus.
Sorry, gosh.
Everybody in my family went there.
Realizing as I.
So like the DJ before me, like you always would introduce the DJ that's coming on next. So he always called me Double J Bone, which I always was like, please stop saying that. and then some of my friends will call me Jer Bear. Those are the only two nicknames that ever really stuck. But like outside that, people just usually call me Jerry, or if they know me through the internet, Jerry James Stone.
That's hilarious.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, thanks again for joining us. This is the part of the show where we do these little tags at the end, where we try to list off the things from the shows over the course of the year. We always let our guests know you're welcome to sign off or sit here and witness the train wreck that it always is. So it's up to you.
I'm going to witness.
Okay, he's going to witness it. Okay, here we go. Well, thank you, Jerry James Stone, for joining us. We have been your beacon of light in a gloomy environment.
Featuring greater parasympathetic nerve activity.
More than just charismatic megafauna.
Dolphins don't quit.
Nature is perfect. Look at eggs.
We are y'all inclusive.
Don't mess with Smokey on this show.
The which one was it?
The boat one.
The boat one. The boat one.
We can't win them all, but we'll win the rest.
Do you know what else we forget always?
What is it?
We're supposed to now say the award-winning.
Oh, the award-winning Biofriendly Podcast.
We never say the award-winning, and that's like the only thing that people actually need to know.
That's
and
true.
Yet we never.
But that's classic us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it classic us to leave out the thing that people should know? To leave out the
only important one.
Right. Fair enough.
Like we always also, Jerry, we're supposed to at the end of the show remind everybody to subscribe,
yes.
to tell your friends, to leave a comment on iTunes because that's very helpful.
Yes.
We're terrible.
We're so bad at that
at the
part.
Stuff we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And great at the stuff we're not supposed to do.
Right. But that's why they tune in, I think.
I think that's right.
Anyway, well, thanks again for joining us, Jerry James Stone. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
It's the Biofriendly Podcast. It's the Biofriendly Podcast.